Hello and welcome to World Building Blueprints launch party. I am here in my studio and ready to go live on the Kickstarter. But before we do that, I thought I'd briefly talk about what inspired, who this book is for, and why I wrote it at all. So I hope that all my sound is coming through clearly and so on, and that there isn't any lag or other weirdness. Okay, so hey, how you doing? Hmm. Yeah. So let me start with why I decided to write this book at all, right? So at the beginning of 2024, I was looking at kind of the state of my channel. Hey, this is Guy's new channel. For those of you who know Guy, the Great GM, How to Be a Great GM channel, this is his Star Trek channel. So I hope that you all who like Star Trek go and subscribe to him. Okay, so in 2024, I looked at the kind of the state of my channel and I was like, okay, so I have a lot of world building content, but it's very disorganized. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to put down and reorganize my thoughts, and I'm going to sit and do the work of some structure to my world building content. But writing a big writing a nonfiction book is a hell of a job. And I needed some accountability partners to explain. So it's a big job to write a book in general. It's an even bigger job to write a nonfiction book. And so I decided that, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a podcast to discuss each chapter as I write, right? And those podcasts I will release every month, and that will be my accountability to keep myself working on the book. And so you guys who've been listening to World Building Blueprints Season 1, you've been my accountability partners in this whole process. And so members of my channel get access to my videos early, right? And they'll be able to tell you that for most videos, that means they get them weeks in advance. But for World Building Blueprints, sometimes the video comes out for members on the Friday and for the public on the Saturday. So it's literally like emergency writing and finishing on the Friday, which is how much I needed you all as my accountability partners. So that was why I decided to write the book. And what I learned through the process of writing the book and putting everything down is how much I needed structure as well in my world building. So I had a very messy process of world building that really worked for me, but I was never really able to communicate to anybody how I world built until I wrote this book, which starts at like the concept of your story, the vaguest inkling of your campaign if you're a GM, and takes you all the way through like your defined world. But it doesn't make you drown in the details. It doesn't make you do all of your world building up front. You start writing early, you start running your campaign early, and then you build what you need when you need it, right? So that was the whole driving goal behind the book. So I'm going to just show you guys some of the slides from this book. So this is from the Adding Fantasy channel, from the Adding Fantasy chapter, right? Oh, speaking of Guy, I just want to appreciation from him. that he helped me with the layout of this book enormously. For those of you who didn't know, Guy and I go way back in real life to before either of us had YouTube channels. So it's a small world in the geek community in South Africa. So yeah. Anyway, so, so this is the magic system chapter that takes you through. Not It starts not with what can your magic system do, but why do you have magic, right? And if the purpose of your magic is just the rule of cool, um, then your magic system is great. Just lean into that coolness and make it cool all the way. But if your magic system also has some thematic weight, if it, borrows from like Ursula Le Guin's approach of making magic intrinsic to identity or something like that, then absolutely lean into that thematic purpose. And I talk here about the different roles that magic can play. And I go through an example. So that purple block in the middle is an example of how how magic is used in Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive, right? So the green is the exercise, and the purple is the example. And then you obviously have the actual worksheet itself, which is then the questions where you put in your answers, right? And it then, goes on into texts and so on. And then obviously, magic being what it is, we get to the stuff you can actually do with it, right? So that's your next exercise, is then what is your magic system in terms of how do you manipulate it? Do you have spells and so on? Now, if you're a GM and you're running D&D, right, your answer to this section is probably, I may ignore this worksheet because my magic is defined by the system. And that's 100% okay. You just focus on the purpose part of magic and not on the system part. And the same if you're writing a soft magic system, you focus on your purpose side of magic and you fill in way less here in the structured system part. The big benefit of the approach that I follow and the approach I detail in the book is that it's flexible. The purpose is to help you create in your world what you need, not what I think you need. So these are all tools for you to use. The art in this book, by the way, is currently all stock art for the most part. Not the cover. The cover is actually illustrated by Febi Hermawan, who is also my illustrator for Sangwheel Chronicles, the interior art of Sangwheel Chronicles, and the covers, the new covers of Sangwheel Chronicles, and so on. But the interior art of the book at this point is stock images. I want to say they're definitely AI because I filtered them for not AI. But I was on the stock and I was downloading an image and it was made in 2022. And man, it looked like that woman had too many fingers. And so I think the art in 2022, they didn't label as AI art when they used AI. So I went through and I checked all the art I downloaded from 2022 to make sure they had, 10 fingers, 10 toes, no extra nipples. It's like your Inquisition and you're checking for an old-timey witch with AI art sometimes. So yeah, so it's currently stock art, but some of the funding goals is to unlock Febi to do some internal illustrations, as well as getting additional artists that'll be voted on by the backers to do some additional internal illustrations. So, this is just the chapters at the moment. Those of you who've read the beta, you will note that I actually took your advice to heart already. We've split some of the chapters and created a slightly different structure around culture, because chapter 4, 5, and 6 and 7 was previously all one giant chapter. So that's now been separated out into some separate chapters. And this is just more of the layout of the book. So you can see that there's a chapter heading and there's some exercises and so on. And then when we add things like fantasy and so on, I don't just focus on the magic system. I also look at, how do you incorporate weather and climate? How do you build out your fantastical geography, your fauna, your flora, your animals, all of those details that you need to really add fantasy? And then, of course, the big thing that has been dominated both season 1, the podcast, as well as the book, has been this cultural world building framework that is built on these circles of culture building, from the core through the norms, through the identity, kinship, hierarchy, legal, and expression. And this will take your culture from 0 to hero. You can start with a very basic concept of your culture and it'll fill in the rest. And the way that the book is structured, it will also help you define your subcultures as part of that cross-cutting line called identities. That's also your subcultures and your religion and all of that, those kinds of details. And then on the far side, you have material conditions, which are not just things we have in our world, like what can they farm with? Do they have grain or rice, or what is their staple food? But also, what is their staple magic? What magical animals have they domesticated? What is their magical material conditions? And how do you integrate that into your culture? And there's like a whole model that you get with the book that helps you evaluate your technology, magic, and your fantasy for a given culture. And you get like a whole little fancy Excel spreadsheet that you just tick boxes, and then it suggests to you, okay, your culture should have these kinds of homes, or it should have this kind of farming, and so on. So that all comes with the book, and you can download that as part of your backing of the book. Then there's lots of stuff. There's some religion stuff, of course, here. Creating a religion is a big part of this. Not just your gods, who are important, the divine focus of your religion, but also your actual religion itself, like the priests and the church politics and the sacred texts and the symbols around the religion, and all of the details that you need to create a realistic church beyond just creating a religion. And then economics is a passion of mine. So I actually have a degree in economics. Weirdly, my degree is in economics and mathematics, and I ended up being a computer programmer because, that's the way that life works. But economics is a passion of mine in world building, and people often neglect economics because it feels too complicated. It feels too tricky to build really complicated. So I created a economic model that will take your whole economy, even if you know nothing about economics. Even if you're looking at the words on the screen and going, I don't know what macroeconomics is, that's cool. It doesn't matter. This system will take you all the way through creating your economic system, your currency, your global trade, your guilds. All of that will be there. Money does indeed make the world go round. So that is the base contents of the book, and and how the book is laid out. And as I said, with my thanks to Guy. And yeah, James, I'm also looking forward to the book. I think it's going to add real value to people's world building. Um, and uh, and yeah, so in terms of backing the project, we of course have, all of our tiers and so on. And if you back the project in 48 hours, so between now and say the and 21 July, then you get some really cool little extras. So for backing the world building blueprints itself, you get acknowledgement in the book, of course, and then you also get um, a bookmark and a book plate. Okay, so the book plate has my signature inserted in it right now. But for those people who buy the physical books, whether hardback or paperback, I will actually sign a sticker that I'll mail to you. Right, or that's part of your Kickstarter deliveries, right? So you'll get a sticker that you can insert in the book or keep loose from the book, depending on how you feel about it. And that's just because I can't offer signed books. I live in Finland, and shipping in the world right now is just obscene. It's obscenely expensive. So if I were to offer signed books, I'd have to charge like $200 shipping, because the book has to come to me, I have to sign it, and then it has to go to somebody else. So, you know, you have to so I did these book plates instead, and then you get the bookmark as well, which has got Febby's art kind of made into a bookmark. So Colby says that my world doesn't use money. I am with you. I have recently read The Quantum Thief, where money is time spent. I've also read Ian M. Banks's Culture, where there's no actual money, and the thing that is value is experiences and so on. But that doesn't mean that the that is to you. It just means you're going to ignore the currency worksheet. Because that is the nature of the flexibility here. And then also on sale will be my Sangwheel Chronicles. Credit Cow is the true option. I'm with you. I'm with you secondhand. Credit Cow is the true option. So my Sangwheel Chronicles book, my epic fantasy books, will also be available as add-ons with their new covers, and they will come also with book plates and bookmarks, like the following here. So there is a whole bunch of tiers, but I think what I'm going to do at this point is go live on the project. So, and then I'll talk about the tiers. Launch project. Okay, we should be live. There we go. Okay. So let me put the link in here. For those of you who are curious about why I am launching with Starving Writer Studio, Finland doesn't allow for Kickstarters to be hosted from Finland. So I have, a friend who's doing the printing and so on. All right, so this is the Kickstarter, and it's our tiers here are of course the Kickstarter, make a pledge because you believe in it. We have the early bird, love your work. This is just if you want to follow along. People who back in this tier will get the Adding Fantasy chapter in color layout, and they will get, if they're early bird backers, they will get the files for those bookmarks and the bookplate insert, which they can print as they choose to. Then our early bird digital architect is the um, the uh, the the one where you get the PDF in color, and that is where you get a color PDF and you get a pack of worksheets, black and white worksheets that are just the worksheets of the book, so that you can print them out and reuse them in multiple worlds. Because I was like, I don't know if people are going to want to photocopy the book and so on and so forth. So I would rather provide you with these black and white worksheets along with the book, so you can just print them out and use them as you create multiple different worlds. Then our paperback layout. So our paperback will be in black and white layout, and there is an example in the story of the Kickstarter. If I go down to it, so this is the color layout, and then this is the black and white layout of the same area. We have the same content, but obviously just laid out in black and white and with line art. And then for the early bird, you will also then get your bookplate and your acknowledgement. And then, of course, the hardback, that is the full color layout, and it is the big one. Then there is a limited tier, VIP architect. So there's only 12 of these available, but if you select this one, not only do you get all of the stuff and the bookplate and so on, but you also will get half an hour with me to discuss your world. So we'll talk through your world in detail. If you fill in the sheets beforehand, you can send it to me, the worksheets, and then I will read through them and work through them with you, and then we can sit and discuss your world. And if you want to, we can then have a live stream on my channel to talk about your world to my audience, and discuss how you approach the world building and the world that you've built, the story you've written, the campaign you're running, etc., etc. So yeah, that's the thing. So it says they're all gone for the rest of it, but Kickstarter is weird. They're not all gone. They will be live when the early bird runs out, because I wanted to make sure that people didn't accidentally book the non-early bird version of this. Yeah, so this isn't going to be a wait for a long time to do the delivery. This will be it should be out by the end of this year. The only thing that might draw a delay there is if we reach stretch goals very late in the process and we need to, source illustrations and so on. But in that case, backers will be made aware of how long the delay is and why. You will also note that we are on volume 1. There is a volume 2 planned, but the volume 2 will be a deeper dive into something. And I will be talking to the backers of this Kickstarter to discuss what they want from a season 2 or a volume 2 of this book. So thank you so much to all of you who have already backed it. That is incredible. I will say this has been an amazing response. This is fantastic. We're already at $400. That is so awesome, guys. You guys are amazing. So yeah, it's been an amazing ride on creating this book, creating the podcast, and engaging, with the community around this. That's weird. Is anybody else having a weird problem with pledges? Or I don't think so, because it seems to be running. Uh, I'll chat to you offline, Guy. Maybe I screwed something up in the UK setup. Um, is there anything that I need to check in terms of the... Is there anybody in the UK who's on here who's backed the project? Yeah, we'll look into it. Oh, wow. We've just hit 574. You guys are really, this is beyond awesome. It is fantastic. I will see if there's any issues in the UK. It might be some, who knows? Like, people are, the websites are so weird. I had a guy who was in Moldova who couldn't join the YouTube channel because he was too close. He was too close to the Russian border and got caught in the net of sanctions. So YouTube was like, no, you're in Russia. You can't engage with YouTube financially because of the sanctions of the war. Like, there's weird stuff sometimes on websites about like which country you're in and so on. So yeah. But yeah, so it's been so cool over the past 4 years engaging with this community and finding people who also love world building and talking with people who discuss these topics of how you build a world and what cultures mean and all the rest of that. And it's been a ride writing this book and generating this. We are over 600. We're 629. This is so cool. Um, so so if you guys were to define a approach of what you would like to see in a season 2 and in a volume 2 of this book, what would you really want to plunge deeper in? Do you think like more fantasy, or more kind of characters, more economics? I wouldn't go more cultures in for a volume 2 because I've gone very deep in cultures in this volume. So I feel like it would be better to go in another direction and dive deeper into like perhaps fauna and flora or geography or on the other side of life, the more economics or more politics, maybe something like that. But it would be interesting to me to see what the community wants most, because that's great to see you, and thank you very much for your support, Octon 9. Um, yeah, so the what volume 2 is going to be about is very much going to be determined by the community and the backers and so on. And yeah, it has been an incredible privilege being here and on YouTube and so on. So yeah. I hope that you all have an amazing weekend. I am quite stunned that we are already sitting at 629 You guys are the absolute best. And I hope to see you soon. Live streams and more videos and all those things to follow, and one more episode of the Blueprints Season 1 podcast, and then I'll start planning for Blueprints Season 2. So that won't stop. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here. And thank you for watching the videos. Without you guys watching the videos, listening to the podcast and so on, I wouldn't have an audience. I'd just be, um, old woman shouting at clouds. So, yeah. So the Adrian interview is great. And I've got another interview with Adrian Tchaikovsky scheduled for next month, which I am very much looking forward to, where we're going to talk about political fantasy and the pitfalls and the history and so on. So you guys should, make sure you're subscribed and all those things for that. Thanks, everyone, and I will chat to you soon.